Although it may look like I'm somewhere far up north, I'm actually here on my farm in North Texas, just south of Oklahoma, right on the Texas-Oklahoma border. And last night we got a lot of freezing rain and 2 or 3 inches of snow, and so I'm actually out on my place right now looking for good opportunities to take pictures in this weather. We get winter weather every year. It just doesn't stick around very long. We'll get it for a few days and then it goes on. But I spend a considerable amount of my time in cold weather. In fact, last week I just got back from Yellowstone National Park, and one of the questions I get a lot is, how do you shoot in cold weather and how does it affect your gear? Well, first things first, how do I shoot in cold weather? It's pretty simple, actually. You know, right now it's not super cold. It's about 20 degrees. We've got a slight breeze blowing. I think the wind chill is down around 11 or 12, so it's cold, but it's not minus wind chills like you're going to get up north. But either way, the approach really I take to dressing in for the cold when you're doing photography is really about the same no matter where I'm at. And you've heard this before, but you got to think in layers. And layers, why do you ask? Well, with layers, as it's cold, you can bulk up, and as it warms up, you can shed those layers till you're comfortable again, because the worst thing you want to do is sweat underneath all these warm clothes you're wearing. Now, there's a lot of different modern fabrics you can use and a lot of different modern materials you can use, but me, I prefer good old-fashioned wool, because wool, for one thing, it insulates even when it's wet. Now, a million different people may tell you a million different ways to dress in the outdoors, but the truth is, it's really a personal thing, and what you've got to do is figure out where your comfort level is and what it is that you can wear to help you stay warm. Me, again, I wear some sort of undershirt, flannel shirt on top of that, wool vest, wool jacket on top. Again, the wool jacket has that liner inside to help stop the wind. You may wear a polypropylene material. You may wear some other kind of high-tech fabric that's out today that helps keep you warm. Sometimes when I'm skiing and it keeps me plenty warm, I'll just wear a ski pants, ski jacket. It's good enough. But I like, when I'm in the outdoors and photographing especially, I just like wool, especially this camouflage wool. It's brown, kind of blends in. Like I stated before, wool is great because it insulates even when it's wet. And you think about a sheep, they're out in the weather all the time. They wear wool all the time, and when they get wet, they're still insulated. And that's what I love about the wool material. And so I'll start with the thought in mind of insulating my core, and once my core is insulated, then it's going to send warm blood out to my fingers and my toes. So aside from wearing the undershirt and the flannel shirt and the wool vest and the jacket on top as my layers, I also have to think about my extremities. So with my feet, you can wear snowpack boots. I don't really like wearing those. I like these Danner pronghorns. I've worn these kind of boots for a long time. They're just a hunting boot that's insulated. They're really comfortable to wear. They're comfortable to hike in for a long way. They provide ample ankle support, and they keep my feet warm, because inside there, I'll just wear an insulated sock. If it gets really cold and I have to put foot warmers in, I can do that as well. For my hands, I know there's a lot of different gloves that you can buy, but I prefer these rag wool mittens. And I think I might have bought these at Walmart a long time ago. I've had these gloves forever, but they hold up. But these rag wool mittens are great because when I'm not shooting, I can fold the thumb and the forefinger down. I can fold the thumb and the finger cover over, and it keeps everything warm. I can still grab my gear and move it around, but when I'm ready to shoot, I just fold it back, and then all my fingers and my thumbs are ready to go and ready to articulate the controls on the camera. And I really like that about it. One of the things you can do too is the little hand warmer packs. I can put one in each one of these flaps, and when I'm shooting, if my fingers get really cold, all I gotta do is close the flap and they'll warm up my hands in no time. And really the last thing I do, I don't have a whole lot of hair on top of my head, so one of the things I've always got to be mindful of is covering my head up, because so much heat from your body escapes through your head. You know it. I mean, if you've been out sweating before, you know how hot your head gets and how much you sweat on your head. It's the same way in the wintertime. When that heat escapes, it escapes through your head. Now, I don't like wearing toboggans. I like my ears to be uncovered so I can hear. But this is kind of an old school cap I really like wearing. It's a wool cap. Stormy Cromer is who makes it. There's another couple of manufacturers that make it, but I like that because it does have ear flaps if I need to fold them down, which I never do. But the main thing it does, it keeps my head warm. Also, if my ears do get cold, this jacket I have has a hood that I can just zip up around me, keep my ears warm. I can still hear. It's like a big kind of ear funnel that the sounds come into you. If stuff's behind me, I can't hear as well, but as long as stuff is in front of me, I can still hear pretty well. And by doing that, by making sure my core is dressed warmly, and making sure I've got something covering the skin, my hands, on my hands, the rag wool gloves, on my feet, the insulated socks with the insulated boots, and on my head, the wool cap, as well as just the hood I can pull over. I can shoot, I've shot it down to -20, -30 degrees. Now, the time I spend outdoors isn't extended, you know, but I can shoot -20 for probably an hour or so before I start really noticing that I'm getting cold. But like this, I stay pretty comfortable. But you know how it is when you're in the outdoors. If you have some wolves come up or some kind of action, really nice action begins to happen, you forget about the cold immediately and you stay warm. But the thing about it is, figure out what works best for you. Try out different materials, try out different kinds of clothing. Find what works for you and stick with it, because if it works for you, there's no point in searching anymore. A lot of these clothes, the wool vest, the rag wool gloves, the wool jacket, a lot of these clothes I've had for years because they're durable, they hold up, they work well, and so why change now? And I'd be remiss too if I didn't say, for me, wool's kind of a fashion statement. I like the drab colors of wool. I like the greens and the browns. I feel like it helps me blend in a little bit. So I'm not looking to be a fashion statement or like in a REI or North Face catalog. I just like things that are functional and practical and things that work well in the outdoors. Now, the next question people ask is, what about your camera gear? How cold is too cold? A guy told me a long time ago, and I've believed him ever since, that if you can stand the temperature, your camera can stand the temperature. And I've been out before where my camera bodies get really, really cold to the touch. They may have frost on them. The batteries may drain really quickly, and that's one of the bad things about being in the outdoors when it's cold, is the batteries just go quick. But for the most part, my cameras have been able to stand up like I've been able to stand up in the temperatures. If it's extreme 120 or something like that or above, you take care of your cameras sort of like you take care of yourself. You just keep it out of the heat. Same way with the extreme cold. If it gets super, super cold and if you can't stand it, chances are your camera's going to suffer a little bit too. So make sure you take care of that. Now, one of the things I try to do is when I'm out taking pictures in the cold is avoid taking my cameras in and out of warm areas like a vehicle or a building and then taking them out again. And so that kind of gets a little bit hard to manage. You have to think ahead. But what I'll do typically, if we're riding around in a vehicle, like in snow coaches in Yellowstone, for example, just try to keep a window open for ventilation a little bit, just cracked, just to keep some cool air blowing through there. And since I'm already dressed for winter, I don't have to get really, I don't have to really turn the heat up. So I just try to manage the heat, keep it cooler inside the vehicle, so that way when I step out, it's into the cold, you're not going to have the problem of your lens fogging up and just not being able to shoot for a while. So even in the buildings, what I'll do is I may, like if we stay in a hotel, I may get out early and get my camera equipment put in the vehicle so that way it has time to acclimate, and then it's not fogging up when I'm ready to use it. So again, cold weather care and dressing for the cold and shooting in the cold, it's not anything that's that complicated. It does take a little bit of planning. You just got to think ahead, but I encourage you to try out different things and different ways of dressing to find what's comfortable for you. I like the freedom of movement. I like wearing as least amount as I can to stay as comfortable as I can. Temperature doesn't really bother me that bad. And so I like just trying to dress so I can move around easy and move my arms easy and just especially move my fingers easy.